if I told you your vote for president doesn't really count? For that, you can thank the Electoral College. Under this antiquated system, it's a group of electors who ultimately decide who our next president will be. And sometimes, that's not even the candidate who won the majority of the popular vote. In fact, that's happened 3 times since the Civil War, most memorably in 2000 when we ended up with him instead of him. So how does this happen? Well, when you vote in the general election, you're actually voting for a slate of electors, not the candidates. 50 states plus the District of Columbia are each assigned a number of electors in a system that basically mirrors Congress. 1 elector for each of the 435 representatives, 1 for each of the 100 senators, plus 3 electors for the District of Columbia. That's 538 total. The candidate that gets the majority of the electoral votes wins the presidency. Sounds pretty fair, right? Well, listen to this. The system is set up so that every state is guaranteed a minimum of 3 electors, even if that state has a tiny population. And that's a problem because how influential your vote is depends on the population of your state. Let's say you live in Vermont, which has 3 electors. There's 1 elector for roughly 168,000 people. But if you live in a more populous state like New York with 29 electors, you get 1 elector for around 535,000 people. That means a Vermont vote is over 3 times as powerful as a New York vote. And New York is one of 21 states where the electors aren't even bound to vote the same way as the public. And it gets worse. In most states, the candidate who wins the majority of the popular vote takes all of its electors. That sucks if you voted for the losing side, especially if you live in a state where the same party always wins the majority and takes all the electors. You basically might as well have not voted. And that's true for millions of US voters. In recent general elections, nearly 80% of votes cast had no impact. In that 2000 race between Al Gore and George W. Bush, almost half of voters in red state Missouri voted for Al Gore. But because the winner takes all, those 1 million plus votes basically didn't matter. The entire presidential race came down to a few hundred votes in the swing state of Florida. So who the hell came up with this? Well, our founding fathers established the Electoral College in the 18th century. In the days before TV and internet, it was harder for folks to make an informed decision about the candidates, so they entrusted electors to do it for them. But I think we can agree, times have changed. Why then haven't we changed the system? Well, efforts are being made at the state level. The National Popular Vote is an agreement among states to alter the Electoral College system so that the candidate with the most popular votes wins. But so far, only 10 states and DC have signed on. Let's keep it real though, it isn't really in the interests of the Republican or Democratic establishment to change things. That's because winner takes all makes third parties less appealing and reinforces the 2-party system. But shouldn't everyone's vote have equal weight regardless of where they live? In the meantime, please still vote.